Hey guys, welcome back to Paper Made Me Do It. This video is going to be another journal with me and my Hobonichi Cousin Avec. I'm going in for this 2-page spread from earlier this month and starting with a water brush to get down the days of the week across the top of each page. These are Schmincke watercolors. And it is a palette that I had ordered online some time ago. It has the really pretty rainbow tin. Going in with kind of a turquoise green. And then on the right side of the spread, I kind of faded it into one of the shades of blue. There's a lot of really pretty colors in this palette that stand alone, and then they're also great for blending. And then I'm just doing a little trick, if you will, here that I picked up from mitts with My Life mitts. Just taking your water brush when you're done and squeezing it directly onto a piece of paper instead of a paper towel to get rid of the color. Just kind of gives you an automatic background. So I've been doing that lately. I'm going in with a Uni Jetstream 0.7 ballpoint pen to outline the lettering that I did for the day of the week, and then I'm going in to kind of draw the weather for that day. I started with some journaling on Friday. Just did fairly small paragraph about how the day unfolded, and I ended up using this pen for all of the journaling and outlining in this entire spread. It's just nice to not have to wait for the ink to dry. This is also the pen that I use for planning in my Hobonichi weeks every week, either it or the Hobonichi pen. But I really like using it in my weeks also for that same reason. You don't have to wait for it to dry, so it's really good to go in and out during the week to add notes or make quick changes and not have to leave the book open to dry. So after I finished the journaling on the left side of the spread, I went over to the right side of the spread and outlined that lettering as well. And then I did quite a bit of journaling on the right side of the spread. Almost the whole page. This was over a weekend, and my husband and I haven't taken nearly enough date nights in the past. That's something that we've been working on lately, about trying to be better about that, making time for ourselves. And so we had gone on a date night this Saturday, and not just a date night here around the house, but we actually drove to Houston, Texas, which is about a 4-hour drive from our house. So we left our house at about 9 o'clock Saturday morning and drove over to Houston that day. They were having a big rodeo, which was something that he and I had neither of us had been to in the past, so it was a new experience for both of us. And a vendor that my husband works with had invited us to go, so we did not realize until we got there that he had reserved a private suite for the event. So that was super nice. We had really nice buffet for dinner inside the suite, and they had an open bar. We had our own little private restroom, so we were definitely spoiled in a good way. But we had good seats for the rodeo, so we watched that together. Got to meet a lot of new people and just visit. And then after the rodeo was over, they also had a concert that night, so we stayed for that as well. And they actually just rolled the stage out, and it was a huge display. It was a pretty nice stage and fairly elaborate setup, but they just rolled the stage out into the middle of the arena where the rodeo had just been held. So that was pretty cool too, to see all the technology behind the scenes and just see how they get everything set up so quickly. So we stayed for the concert, and then when it ended, we decided to go ahead and drive back home that same night, and it wasn't too bad. We ended up getting home around midnight. So yes, we were tired because we had left at 9 that morning, got back at midnight, but we had a really good time, and we were thanking ourselves the next morning that we had decided to go ahead and drive back the night before and not wait until the next morning. So I had several thoughts about the event. Just wanted to kind of recap that, since it was a fairly unusual, kind of above and beyond date night for us. So I journaled on most of that page. And then I had the tickets from the event still in my purse. So I decided to include them, as well as the wristband that I wore that night. And that's one thing that I've been trying to do more of here recently, is include more personal ephemera in my journals. And I also want to start including more personal photos in my journaling. So that's something I'm working on right now too. But I decided to add in the wristband and the tickets with the Tim Holtz tiny attacher. I stapled the wristband directly onto the page and then stapled the tickets together, and then went in with some of the MT Hobonichi collaboration washi tape to put the tickets in like a tip in. So I just used that same washi on either side. And that way it kind of breaks up all that journaling. And by that time, the left side of the spread where I had put that watercolor down was completely dry. So I took my art glitter glue and went in with a printable from Courtney Diaz. Her name on Patreon is Little Raven Ink, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below if you'd like to check it out. And then I decided to add some colorful washi in that margin on the opposite side of the spread. And I cannot remember offhand where I bought this washi. It's a wider washi, and I've had it for quite some time, but it is one of my favorites. I love it because it's so cute. It looks like little hand-drawn pieces of stationery. So traveler's notebooks, pencil pouches, etc. There's a pretty good variety on it. If I can figure out where it came from, I'll include that in the description. But then the last part of this spread is another sketch. I'm really enjoying the Hobonichi challenge this month because all of the prompts this month are of animals. And I am having to go to Google Images to look them up because at least for my experience, they're not like common animals in my area. So a lot of them, when I read the name, I don't even know what they are. So I did go to Google Images. This is an ibex, I-B-E-X, and I printed a photograph of what he looks like so I could use that as a guide to sketch him out. And I went in with that same Uni Jetstream ballpoint pen to do the majority of the sketch. He's got some humongous, I would call those horns. I don't know if there's a more appropriate name for them, but it's got this really cool set of curved horns. That was probably the most fun part to sketch out on this particular one. Try to go in and just do a little definition, nothing too fancy. It is, supposed to be a sketch, but there's a lot of shading and variation in the photograph that I printed, so I was trying to at least get some of that reflected in the sketch. Now the ballpoint pens are great for using as an outline, because you can go in with wet media over them as well, like just like you would a waterproof or an archival ink. But on this particular sketch, I chose instead to go in with just a regular colored pencil. So this is just an old school colored pencil, not, you know, wet media of any kind. And the reason I decided to do that is because of that bluish watercolor background that was done with just regular watercolor that was not waterproof, and I didn't want to put any wet media on top of the sketch and end up with a blurry mess. So I just decided to go in with the traditional colored pencil that's dry, and I only used 2 of them. I just had 2 shades of brown. One was a little warmer and lighter, and then this one was just a little darker, more like just a traditional brown. So I used the combination of the 2 browns, and then also used different pressure to make some areas darker than others, just trying to make it look a little more lifelike. Just adding a little more shading there. And then once I finished up the sketch, there's my inspiration picture. That was it for this spread, except the dates. I forgot. I did grab my office stamp that was within reach on my desk and stamp the date on each page. Okay, so that is it. Now that spread is done. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.